Welcome to TradeTheMBI.com. This is John. This report is for the 15th, and well, as expected here, we got our more than 50% move, which caused a little more short covering. We can see it developing here. We ended up with that orange dip all the way below as we started to carry through. Almost a little bit overbought right here, but we expected this is exactly the same move we saw right here. Almost identical. Actually, if I scroll back a fraction, we should be able to see if we get the same double. Yeah, we get the same double move with the orange like we had right here. It was a little more strident here in this particular case, which meant that we were a little more extreme with that, and that allowed for a little bit stronger. So probably not going to get the same degree of punch, because you can see there's a few more days into it before we even got to the overbought. However, we have returned all the way to that 100% mark, returned back. So a little different in that aspect, in the sense that we're already back to where we were pre-scare, now that North Korea has backed down and said that no, they're not going to attack Guam. So clearly much to do about nothing, which was a perfect opportunity, as we talked about it would be, for them to panic out people, fill in the positive extreme that we had from before on the ES, the S&P. And here we go, NASDAQ likewise actually took out the previous high. So NASDAQ was a little bit further ahead. Euro holding its own right in this mid-range. It's probably a little more room to come back. Would be a little bit more appropriate for it. And I think that we're about to get a secondary move above the 13.5. That actually could be a more significant short if the cyan were not below the red. So we'll have to be looking for that. Short-term buyers can almost completely reset on it as well. So opportunity for it to hold on at this particular point. We'll see any impetus for the move. Of course, bonds, the question about rates is now growing bigger and bigger. Is the economy continuing? Is it stuck? Will there be anything? And I think you're just going to get a back and forth holding pattern. People moved out of it to go back into equities again, because it's still going to be the only place where you can get yield. A little further decay in oil. There was no change from that. We were still in the short configuration. Now a nice pivot becomes the green turnaround. This is getting a little long in the tooth from its run, even though it wasn't that much. Still, again, this is where we're going to be watching for increased demand. Will change the aspect of it. It's not going to necessarily be about inventories as much as how much slack is being pulled off. And then, of course, there's going to be always the question of how much renewed capacity there is. But that we're looking at it from a different aspect, as to showing strength in the economy, and that it might be actually picking up dramatically. And so until we see that, gold pulling back a little bit on those positive extremes, not too big a surprise. Could move into a little bit of a short territory as the fear trade unwinds a little bit, but that doesn't change the fact that it's still going to be pretty strong overall. I would think probably has several, at least from a full price standpoint, could get quite steep there, particularly if rates do begin to rise, and it looks like there is some strength, because it's going to cause wage pressure. So here's where the day started. We talked about this little pop-up taking place as we were able to see the buy signal come in. Looked fairly nice, and there was just nothing to do all day. The closest we had was right about here, where you ended up with a brief short signal that popped in right there, but all it did was come across pretty straightforward, and then you ended up with short-term buyers coming back into it because they'd already been completely reset, and all that did was give just the tiniest little drop, and then it just got rebought. Even if you got caught and then came back, it still came back to the same level here again. This time much shorter, wasn't really any short strength at all. And then we got overbought just a little bit right here, so we expect that to get filled back, which is an opportunity to add into things as the next potential buy signal comes through, but currently still within a slight short phase here right now. Short-term buyers seem to be holding up nicely. No objections with that. It's a pretty clean chart. It was interesting. I had a good question about the positive extremes and whether or not that's something you should not enter. And it's like, no, when you have a buy signal like that, you're going to get these often when new signals start out. And what it is it's just a warning for us to let us know, hey, algo activated here and is starting to move. We know what the retraces will be as we create more and more of these. You can see there's quite a few of them, all of them filled in. In fact, when we came back down here, we filled in everything going all the way back to these. So those were all wiped out pretty quickly. The next phase we have is all the way down to right here at the 2454, which is a little ways up there, and then of course your ultimate. Now usually on the first initial breakout of some of these, and that's why we have the A, the blue in that, usually you get back to high of the breakout bar or right about the close of it usually is where it comes. Only in a real severe downturn do you get all the way into the full aspect of it. But it gives you a marker to where they've broken out, and when they're done and we get our sell signals, those are the targets that you tend to look for coming back through. That is the long and the short of it at this particular point. We expected it to be long. Probably got a little more upside, even if we retrace back in here. I would expect us to revisit these highs. And again, the move back to that 2485 is going to be critical as a test. And that's where the benchmark really is going to be. And this is, I'm sure, big consternation for the doom and gloomers who thought that this was going to be trailing back hundreds of points right away. It just wasn't in what we were reading. Doesn't mean it can't happen. It's just we're not there yet with the general readings, particularly now with the new reset buy here. We could be, like I discussed before, breaking out into the potential of new highs. So there you have it. As always, though, trade well. We'll talk to you later.